Jai Bhim and Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to the fourth session of our course on Babasaheb Ambedkar and public speaking. We have covered a lot of ground so far. We have in the previous section first session we saw how Babasaheb Ambedkar, spoke in the Constituent Assembly and changed the destiny of this country. In the second session, we have gone into his challenge to the British Empire and how he advocated for the democracy, how he advocated for the representative democracy, the inclusive democracy for all, and how he was successful. And in the third session, we have seen how his efforts were challenged by the Congress and Gandhi for the special representation to the scheduled caste, and how Babasaheb Ambedkar fought tooth and nail to win over them, and he has to negotiate very hard to get whatever rights he could get for the scheduled caste. And we have seen his great power of oratory. We have also seen theoretically how the science of speaking can be developed with great efforts. And as Babasaheb Ambedkar has said in one of his speeches, when he talked about eloquence, he has already made it very clear that it's the art that we can all learn if we are prepared to make the great efforts. So it's not something we are born with. It's not an innate art, as we know from Babasaheb's own, I would say, statements that he said that, he was very fearful of the public speaking first. And, for his first speech, he has to write it 14 times. He has to rehearse it and speak. And then eventually we saw that Babasaheb Ambedkar could deliver the speech instantaneously and, extempore. He didn't need a preparation to do that. But for that stage to arrive, you have to be very knowledgeable like Babasaheb Ambedkar. So what I'm going to do today, as I said, I'm going to talk about how Babasaheb Ambedkar mobilized the masses with his speeches. And therefore, in order to understand that, I made a presentation which I'm going to share with you all, and it will help us to go ahead. So this is the presentation that I'm going to make today about this thing. So let's go ahead. So this is what we are going to do. As I said, that we are going to study how to mobilize masses like Babasaheb Ambedkar, and he is not just speaking among the scheduled caste, but he is speaking among the various sections of among the scheduled caste. He's speaking with a lot of constituencies at the same time, as I told you previously. So, so far we have seen mostly what is called the political rhetoric, which is about the choices, which is about future, which is about policies. And we have seen Babasaheb Ambedkar as to how he is mobilizing his words, his knowledge in order to communicate the choices to the Indians for the country, for his people, the scheduled caste, and also the other backward classes, and for the minorities like the Muslims and the Sikhs. And as I have gone through this as to how what we did in the first session, we have seen how he persuaded the Constituent Assembly. In the second, we have seen how Babasaheb Ambedkar challenged the British government and sought democracy for Indians and representation for all the sections of the society. In the third, we saw the confrontation with the Gandhi. Today, before we proceed on with our theme, I thought it will be important to talk about Baba Sahib's. It will be important to talk about. Uh, it will be important to talk about Baba Sahib's what do we call the his thinking like Baba Sahib. So you know So what we are going to do today in terms of understanding his power to mobilize, we are going to talk about Vishnu. Can you please mute your mic? So this is Babasaheb Ambedkar was a genial in temperament. That is what Shagdar has testified. So we are talking about, how to think like Babasaheb Ambedkar before we know that how to speak like Babasaheb Ambedkar. And I think this is a good starting point to understand how we can think about, think like Babasaheb Ambedkar. And these are the points that are very important for us to understand as to how we think like Babasaheb Ambedkar. So he was having a genial temperament, contrary to what his opponents have been telling that, he was a very, what is called the very strong-minded person, and, he was a very angry man and all. These all the Hindu media depicted it. But, Baba Ambedkar was a very good person to talk to. You can talk to him on any subjects. There are many testimonies that I got as to how Baba Ambedkar was a man of a good heart and how he communicated. And he was tolerant of the arguments. This is Shagdar, who has worked with Baba Ambedkar and seen him very closely, and he is testifying that he was, tolerant of arguments, and he was, of course, very good listener. So Baba Ambedkar was a good listener, and he was a learned critic. So he criticized a lot of things, as we know, but his criticism was learned. It was based on the knowledge, and he was a synthesizer of different ideas. So he had this brain, he has this mind, he has this thinking ability by which he can
Arada.
synthesize a lot of ideas, from different domains. And he was clear in his thinking and speech. So before you are clear in your speech, you have to be clear in your thinking. So Mr. Shakdar is making good point about Baba Ambedkar, that he was very clear in his thinking and in speech, and he was adept in legal and technical terms. So now whoever speaks, they know that they have to master the words, they have to master the language, they have to have, they have to know so many things before they even speak. And in the rhetoric, it is called clarifying the terms. So before we say anything, before we talk, before we make any statement, we have to be very aware of the terms and the words we are using. And Baba Ambedkar was very clear about the legal and technical terms and the general terms as such. And he was very precise and concise in drafting. So you see, unless you have the ability to, talk or to express something precisely and concisely, it is not going to be effective. So whether it's writing or speaking, our words should be very precise and very concise and even concrete. We cannot, uh, speak in very abstract terms so that people will be put off. And that was the quality of the great speakers like Babasaheb Ambedkar, who knew how to use the precise and concise words and how to use the concrete terms in order to communicate what they felt that, very important points for them. So I think this is very, very important for us to understand that how Babasaheb Ambedkar was a very, a master of the language, master of thinking. And what Mr. Shagdar is also testifying is saying that Baba Ambedkar, he discussed and he thrashed threadbare. This is a very important word, threadbare. For any concept to properly understand, we have to know it threadbare. It is said, you can explain something to some other person only when you can explain it to your grandmother. You see, that's what I think Einstein or somebody said, So, in order to explain something to some, other person, we have to be able to thrash it out threadbare so that we should be able to see it very clearly and completely. So, anything that we can see it clearly and completely, we can communicate to others what we have seen clearly. So, he has the great passion. The passion is very important. Without passion, you cannot become a good speaker. You cannot become a good thinker. So unless you are passionate about it, unless you are passionate about that idea, unless you are passionate about that work, we cannot give it a justice. We cannot master it. So passion is very important. And you say how Baba Ambedkar was passionate. The way he spoke from the heart, his heart. Sometimes he spoke so passionately that he moved the masses. And it's very important to dwell upon something every minute, think about it all the time, so that we are able to have a very clear view of what we are thinking. And he was, of course, a great reader of vast literature. He read a lot. He was always surrounded by books, as we know. And it was a great pleasure to see him imbibing old and invoking new ideas. So there is a very important point for us, that unless we know something of the old, we cannot create the new, isn't it? We cannot create anything in abstract. So we need to read a lot like Babasaheb Ambedkar, not just drink deeply from one discipline, but several disciplines. Like we know his intellectual interest. Some people have commented about his intellectual interest in so many domains. So you see, this is what is the ground for speaking clearly, because the thinking precedes speaking, and vice versa. Without words, we also cannot think. So let's go ahead. So how to mobilize the masses? In this session, we will study demonstrative rhetoric. How Babasaheb Ambedkar brought people together. The people, the phrase that he used, divided into fractions. The millions are divided into fractions. So how to bring together these divided fractions who count to be millions into a one single group? That was Babasaheb Ambedkar's great challenge. Even today, that's a challenge as to how we bring this disparate number of caste into one single organization or one single forum, or under one single ideological framework. So this was a great challenge for Babasaheb Ambedkar. So whenever you speak, you always brought people together. As we have seen, three elements of Babasaheb Ambedkar speaking: educate, he educated the people, he instructed. In other words, he appealed to their intelligence. Agitate, he agitated their minds. In other words, he changed their moods, he changed their emotions and made them do something. He organized the people, he made them feel that they belong to one particular family or a group. So Babasaheb Ambedkar gave rousing speeches in front of his people all over India, not just in Maharashtra. Many speeches were delivered in front of thousands of people. If you look at the speech in Dadar Mukti Kon Pathe, it was attended by 35,000 people at that time. So 35,000, now you multiply it by 5 times and you get an idea as to how many people would have assembled there. For example, in 1946, Nagpur Convention of the All India Scheduled Caste Federation, it was attended by 70,000 people, 75,000 people. Now you multiply it by 5-6 times and you get idea of how many people gathered at the time. They mostly invoke the justice and how people can fight for their rights. These speeches are the great examples of what Aristotle called demonstrative rhetoric, in which Babasaheb Ambedkar organized the fractions into millions and amplified their voice and presence manifold. He not only addressed the assemblies of the scheduled caste, but also of the caste Hindus for some time. And then in the end, he gave up addressing the non-scheduled caste. And he attended, of course, the OBC conference. But, he knew, he tried very hard. If you look at Babasaheb Ambedkar, to appeal to the other, factors like, the caste Hindus and all. And we can see the clear signs of how he tried to do that. But I would say it didn't work. And he was advocating, he was negotiating with the government, he was challenging the government, he was challenging the political opponents like Congress, and he was challenging the Hindu fundamentalists. And at the same time, he was mobilizing his people, he was organizing his people. Through the Mahar Satyagraha, through the Kalaram Satyagraha, through many Satyagrahas that he had, he was mobilizing his own people as well. So, Babasaheb Ambedkar talked to Mahars, he talked to the other caste, among the scheduled caste, he talked to the Mangs, Chambars, he addressed their, caste gatherings, he talked to the depressed classes all over India, from Tamil Nadu to North India, from east to west, from Gujarat to Bengal, and onwards to Assam. He talked to Indians at large. He gave speeches on All India Radio. We have studied one of the speeches. I will circulate that link in the group. Very interesting speech, how democracies fail. And it's a very path-breaking speech that Babasaheb Ambedkar gave, All India Radio, addressing all the Indians. He talked to the Marathas and the other OBCs. He gave the speeches to women, Buddhist, not only in the conferences, but he attended international conferences, and he organized the Buddhist gatherings. He talked to the rationalists. I'm going to pick up one of his speech where he gave a speech in front of the rationalists. He talked to the anti-caste groups, and one of his speeches, which was undelivered, annihilation of caste, which was supposed to be addressed to the Jat Pat Tolak Mandal. He talked in the assemblies and parliaments, and he talked in front of the international audiences in UK, and he was scheduled to go to America to give a speech, but he didn't go that time. He sent M.N. Srinivas for that. He sent Rao Bahadur Srinivas for the meeting. And he spoke in various contexts like conferences, seminars, public gatherings, election campaigning, assembly debates, parliamentary debates, constituent assembly debates, political gatherings. He also gave Dhamma talks, and he also had academic, talks. So Let's begin today with our first public gathering. Boss Ambedkar had returned to India 2 years back, and he was in this conference of the depressed classes was organized in Mangaon under the presidency of Babasaheb Ambedkar, and notably in this conference, Shahu Maharaj was present, and Bhikkhu Bodhanand was present. There were a lot of people who were present in this conference, and this conference brought together 5,000 people, and VR Shinde's depressed class mission was absent. Why I'm mentioning VR Shinde's depressed class mission, because he was a OBC leader who was claiming the leadership of the Dalits in front of the British. So Baba Ambedkar said that only we have the right to represent ourselves. So you see, he was fighting for the rights of the depressed classes, VR Shinde, but he was very critically opposed for their own agency. So Baba Ambedkar presided over. This is a speech. On one side, there is a Marathi, because Marathi, we gave the speech in Marathi, but I thought for the benefit of those who are from the non-Marathi background, we should have it in English. So let's see how we are going to go ahead with this speech, because these are very important speeches. There's a lot to learn. Now imagine Baba Ambedkar is very young. He is only 29 years old when he is making this speech, where he is very young, and he's fresh out of the universities. He has already got the rights for the depressed classes. When he gave an evidence to the South Borough Commission, and 2 seats were are given to the scheduled caste in the Bombay presidency. So this is a very important. Baba Ambedkar is very young. He's already in the social life, and this conference is presided by Shahu Maharaj. So what should we do? Should we just read Marathi, or should we also read English? What is your plan? What do you think? Any calls from you?
English would be better, sir.
Okay, so let's
Yeah,
read.
same here, sir.
Okay, so who wants to read?
Sir, can I read?
Yes, yes, yes. So you can read now.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Likewise, the intellectual upheaval visible in the recorded classes. Oh,
Yeah.
should I start?
Yeah. Please, please, please.
Likewise, the intellectual upheaval visible in the recorded classes is also equally extraordinary. Until now, our people believed that the reason for their poor condition was their misfortune, and that suffering it quietly was the only way to endure it, as they had no control over ending their misfortune. Recently, however, the current generation sees their situation as a divine act, but instead perceives it as the result of other misdeeds. In this manner, the conference's uniqueness was brought to the attention of the members, and the condition of the excluded classes was thoroughly analyzed. The Hindu religion, of which we are a part, recognizes only two fundamental principles in its social practices. One is innate merit, and the other is innate purity or impurity. Based on these two principles, the Hindu people are divided into three classes. First, the highest and most pure by birth, which we call the Brahmin class. Second, those who innate superiority and purity are lesser than that of the Brahmins, which is the non-Brahmin class. Third, those who are innately inferior and impure, constituting the outcast class. Through this classification, and as determined by religion, he analyzed the impact of these unequal levels of superiority and purity on these three classes. He explained how even the inherently inferior and impure Brahmins have benefited. The non-Brahmin group faces the blow of inherent ineligibility. They lack education and therefore have fallen behind. However, they have access to avenues of acquiring knowledge and wealth, which they might not have today but will surely attain tomorrow.
Okay, so let me comment on this, because when Baba Ambedkar came from America and England, he was
हाँ
trained in
नहीं
English. He was trained in English language, and his all education was in English language. So when he started this Muknayak newspaper, he was firstly writing everything in English and then translating it into Marathi. And then he has read so much of Marathi literature that I think in the future some of the scholars should go into his Marathi writings. They are terrific. They are so well written with the literary style, so advanced, that, if you begin to engage with Marathi writings of Babasaheb Ambedkar, you will begin to see that, he is altogether taking the, listeners and the readers in a very different world. So, you see, just to bring out, his two things, I think everybody can understand. This in Marathi, and these pitches should be available everywhere, particularly to the non-Marathi speakers. And somebody, it's very, technology is very easy these days, so we think we can translate it. But I will try to bring to your attention some of the important words that Babasaheb Ambedkar used. Yogya, yogyata, merit and non-merit. You see, he puts it very beautifully. Yogya, ayogya. And the second is he uses the word pavitra, apavitra. So there are two ways by which the Hindu society is divided. So till this point, though he's influenced by Buddhism, he's trying to bring appeal to the Hindus that this is how we should be going forward to remove this blot on the humanity. And he's saying how the Hindu people are divided into three classes. So of course Brahmins, they are considered, they are, that they have themselves written the religious scriptures. They are claiming that they are having merit and they are pure. And then there are what we call today the OBCs, who are lesser in purity and in superiority with the Brahmins. And there are the outcasts, the untouchables, who are completely ayogya and completely, what is called the apavitra. So this is what the Hindu scriptures, the Brahminical scriptures, have been advocating, that the people are inferior and they are impure. So you see, this is what Babasaheb Ambedkar, to the audience of 5,000 people, he's teaching them the sociological element. He's telling them where do they belong in their so-called the Hindu social order. So the Brahmins have everything. Even if you are inferior, you get everything. That is the case. The non-Brahmins, because they are not, they are, lagging behind, but they have access to the wealth and, have access to the knowledge. They may one day will surely, advance. But what about the untouchables? So this is what Babasaheb Ambedkar is saying. So please go ahead, Arnav. Please read it.
In contrast, the situation of the outcast class have become exceedingly deplorable due to their innate ineligibility and impurity. Over time, as they have been considered unfit and impure, their moral self-respect and self-esteem, the foundational qualities of progress, have completely vanished. Socially, they have no rights comparable to Hindus generally. They cannot attend schools, draw water from public wells, walk on the streets, or use transportation. They are also deprived of certain minor rights. Due to their innate ineligibility and impurity, they have suffered ineconomically as well. Trade, employment, and agriculture, three main means of wealth accumulation, are not open to them. They cannot conduct business because of the dirt and uncleanliness associated with them. And they are often
Hello, Arnav. Arnav, are you there?
share of land is minimal.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
When discussing how the society rooted in such divisions can progress, he emphasized that natural qualities and favorable circumstances are the primary cause of the advancement. It is universally accepted that outcast classes lack natural qualities, but the main reason behind their lack of development is that their circumstances are not favorable. Several measures are suggested to adapt their environment, but the president recommended that we should acquire political power first, which was necessary to bring about change, and that without such political representation by caste, it would be impossible to gain power. In conclusion, he dismissed the idea that truth alone triumphs, asserting that our movement must continue until truth itself prevails. He ended his introductory speech with this note. Then a subordinate committee was appointed, and on the first day, the work of the conference was completed. Thank you.
So, thank you, Arnav. Very good reading. This is very important for us to understand that, this speech is available in the Muknayak, but, it is given like in the not exactly in the format that has, like a spoken speech, but you can understand that, Babasaheb Ambedkar himself has written this in the newspaper. And, this is how it's important to, grasp the very ideas in the speech. This Mangaon conference, as we know, in which Shahu Maharaj declared that Babasaheb Ambedkar will be the great leader of the backward classes. And he declared that he will be the great leader of the backward classes. Now, let's reflect on this, that, the outcast, there has been a propaganda that lack natural qualities. They are inferior. That's why they are the outcast. But Babasaheb says that it's not such. This is not the truth. The circumstances are not favorable. And, there are several measures have to be adopted. And he said that we should acquire the political power first. That's what Babasaheb Ambedkar is saying. Misbah, can you mute your mic, please? So, you see, Babasaheb Ambedkar is very clearly saying that, we should acquire the political power, because that was the beginning of the transfer of power to the Indians after 1917. And Babasaheb Ambedkar is saying that we should concentrate our energies to acquire the political power first, so that we can change and change our condition. He says that we need a political representation. And without political representation, we cannot have the political power. So you see, he's very clear, at the age of 29 as to what he wants for his community. And he says that, sloganeering, like, Satyameva Jayate, is not going to do a lot for us. So he's against sloganeering. He's for the actual work. He says that we have to work hard in order to get our rights. He's saying that mere raising the slogans is not enough. Merely saying that people are equal is not enough. We have to really see that the equality is taking place in the real context. So, I think this is a very important speech that we have seen. And I think what we are looking at here is very interesting as to how Babasaheb Ambedkar is in the first speech. He is making an impression to the in front of the 5,000 people. Now let's go to the second slide. This is what is the, he has made the picture very clear as to how is Hindu society is marked. So you see, there are Brahmins who consider themselves as superior in merit. They think that they are pure. They think that, they have all the rights to get everything. Non-Brahmins, the OBCs, they are lesser in degree in terms of the merit based on the birth, purity based on the birth. Also, they are lesser in degree. But the so-called untouchables have been denied everything. They the Hindu scriptures or the Brahmins have been telling that, they don't have merit and they don't have purity. So you see, that is the in the nutshell, this is what is the Babasaheb speech in the Mangaon, the first public speech, I would say. He has tried to mobilize. Even before that, he has attended what we can say corner meetings in the Parel, Chal, and he has done a lot of work before coming to forming the organizations and all. But this is, I would say, the first public appearance of Babasaheb Ambedkar. So, this is not Babasaheb Ambedkar's speech. This is Shahu Maharaj's speech, but I included here because Shahu Maharaj was critical of Babasaheb Ambedkar's one point. He said that the Mahars and other untouchables are not the untouchables, they are the Vaishyas. And that because, they are the Vaishyas, we cannot say that, they don't have the right to, do the business. So that was the point where, Shahu Maharaj differed, but, he had said that, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar we should give him the title of the Pandit. He says, what is the problem with giving him the title of Pandit? In Marathi, he says, आज त्यांना पंडित ही पदवी देण्यास तरी काय हरकत आहे? So that is what Babasaheb Ambedkar, Shahu Maharaj says about his beloved, Babasaheb Ambedkar. They loved each other so much. There should be a movie on the love and friendship between Shahu Maharaj and Babasaheb Ambedkar. Maharaj gave everything to Babasaheb. And Shahu Maharaj has said at one point of time that he is ready to even abdicate his throne for the social movement. That was Shahu Maharaj. So Shahu Maharaj says that Vidwanat te ek bhushanach आहेत, which means he is the jewel among the scholars. And he says, विद्वान आर्य समाज, बुद्ध समाज व ख्रिस्ती समाज यांनी त्यांना आपल्यात आनंदाने घेतले असते. So, this was such a highly meritorious person, Babasaheb Ambedkar. He is such a wise man, at the age of 29, that, any community will accept him. But he has not gone there. He has remained with you. And he's saying, the great Maharaja is saying that I am grateful to him and you should be grateful to him. So this is what is, Shahu Maharaj is commenting on Babasaheb Ambedkar in such a way. And he's inviting Babasaheb Ambedkar that he should come and have a lunch with him at Rajput Wadi Cafe, which was his cafe. So you see, this is a very interesting point which Shahu Maharaj made about Babasaheb Ambedkar. So let's go ahead. Like we will look at this very beautiful speech. I would say it's spoken in the first person. There's a very beautiful piece appeared in Muknayak. So can anybody volunteer to read?
Yes, me, sir, me.
Manoj bhai, go ahead.
Manoj. Okay. The movement is ongoing. Many have offered their very bodies for the upliftment of the community. Many have traveled across various districts to awaken the masses. While undertaking this work, they have faced severe persecution from the upper caste. If the noble effort and sacrifices of these great individuals are introduced to our readers, we hope they too will be inspired to work vigorously for the awakening of our society.
Okay, so you see, this is what Babasaheb Ambedkar is telling to his people, that the movement is not easy.
तर
Many people.
मराठीतनं पण वाचलं.
Somebody wants to read in
मराठीत
Marathi?
पण
Okay,
हा.
Sangapal, read Marathi.
प्रयत्न चालविले आहेत. कित्येकांनी समाजाच्या अभ्युदयार्थ देहार्पण केले आहे. कित्येकांनी निरनिराळ्या जिल्ह्यातून फिरून जागृती केली आहे. ही जागृती करताना वरिष्ठ वर्गाकडून त्यांचा छळ झालेला आहे. तर त्यांनी हे प्रयत्न केले, देहार्पण केले, छळ सोसला. या महात्म्यांची ओळख आमच्या वाचकास करून दिल्यास तेही आपल्यामध्ये समाज जागृतीचे काम जोराने करतील.
Now you see the power of persuasion of Babasaheb Ambedkar. How he's persuading the people. He's saying that this job, that work, the movement is not easy. A lot of people have sacrificed their bodies. They have faced a lot of difficulties. They have faced innumerable difficulties. But without traveling, without moving, we cannot develop a movement. So let's look at the history of our people, what they have done. So read in English. Anyone would like to read in English?
Sir, I
can.
can. Okay.
Okay. Go ahead.
Should I read?
Yeah, Mahendra, Kumar sir.
About 1,000 years ago, the city of Patan was the capital of Gujarat. The king there began constructing a lake named Sahasralinga. However, no matter what he did, water would not stay in the lake. Upon the advice of religious authorities, the king decided that a human sacrifice was necessary. The weak shall be the sacrifice. And so a man named Mayo, a so-called low caste, was brought forward. Before his beheading, he was granted a final wish. With deep emotion, Mayo said, "Maharaj, I am glad that my mortal body is being offered for the greater good of the public. But I have only one humble request. My brethren, who have been forced to live far from the city, marked by symbols of inferiority, and made to wear separate clothing to denote their low status, should no longer have to endure such humiliation. They should be allowed to live near the city with dignity." The king granted this plea. Mayo, overjoyed, willingly gave up his life for the emancipation of his people.
So you see, this is a very, very beautiful, moving story. See, stories are very important to move people. So it is not that whatever. Wait, we will not read Marathi because there are a lot of not Marathi people. I just brought Marathi here, Sangapalji. So, let me comment on this. So you see, this is very interesting device, how to, make the people, understand and make them ready for the higher sacrifices. So you see, he's citing the example of one great person, Mayo from Gujarat, and he has sacrificed his life and he's saying that my people should be freed. And I think this is very important. And the Marathi is very beautiful, and I think Hindi people can also understand. मायोने आनंदाने आपला प्राण जनार्दनास सोडला means he has sacrificed his life for his community people. So, that kind of a commitment our people had. There were a lot of people in our community. Even today, there are a lot of people in the community who are ready to sacrifice their lives for the people. And it's so long as this commitment exists, nobody can do any harm to us. That is the beauty of Babasaheb's movement, and this is from the day one. This is in 1920. He is 29 years old, Babasaheb Ambedkar. He himself is ready to sacrifice his life. There is a one moving story of Babasaheb Ambedkar where he says that, this mountain of the caste is so big and huge and large, and, it is beyond the capacity of one person to destroy this mountain. But I will bang my head on this mountain, and seeing my blood on my forehead, many people will join it. So you see, the breaking the mountain of the caste, our one person has done it. He broke the mountain for his love, Dasharat Maji. But Babasaheb is talking about the bigger mountain of the caste, and he said that, I will sacrifice my life. I will sacrifice so much that seeing my sacrifice, many people will join in. So we, unless we sacrifice, unless we devote ourselves, unless we commit ourselves. So, when Babasaheb writing like this, and these people are reading it everywhere, somebody's reading and people are listening, you imagine the kind of emotions, it might be rekindling in the hearts of the people to commit themselves for the society, to work for the welfare, for the liberation of the people. So let's go ahead, because, we don't have time. So please go ahead, somebody.
I can read, sir.
Yes, should we go?
Similarly, during the time of the Peshwas, there was a Mahar commander named Sidna. He too had to endure insults and oppression due to his caste. Yet, our valiant Mahar warriors displayed great heroism on the battlefield, even saving the life of Sardar Patwardhan in fierce battle.
You also go ahead and read this.
In Konkan, the fort commander of Raigad, Rainak Mahar, was passionately working towards the upliftment of his community. But due to this, the defenders of the Varna Ashram system pushed him to his death. They threw him off a cliff.
So thank you, Shruti. You see, this is very interesting. He's talking about Sidnag, who was also the hero of the Bhima Korega war. And he was a great fighter, Siddhanag. And Babasaheb Ambedkar is citing his example in 1920. He's talking about Sidnag then, isn't it? Then he's talking about another Nag, Rainag Mahar. And he's saying that, he was fighting so much for the upliftment of his community. He was defenestrated. He was thrown from the cliff. So maybe Sangapal, you can read this line. Is these two lines in Marathi, because they are very beautiful written. Sangapal, you are there or gone? Read.
याचप्रमाणे पेशवाईत सिद्धनाथ या नावाचा एक महार सरदार होता. त्यालाही आपल्या जातीकरिता अपमान व त्रास सहन करावा लागला. सदैव आमच्या महार सरदार बंधूंनी खडतर लढाईत अतिशय पराक्रम गाजवून पटवर्धन सरदारांचा प्राण वाचवला. कोकणातील रायगड किल्ल्याचा किल्लेदार रायनाक महार याला तर आपल्या जातीच्या उन्नती करण्याकरता जीवापाड खटपट करतो, म्हणून वर्णाश्रम धर्मवाल्यांनी त्याचा कडेलोट केला.
See, so this is how we have to learn this. The art of expressing, the art of moving the people, the art of moving the masses. Now see the last example. This is very interesting example. Can somebody read it?
Sir, can I read?
Sir, I'll be reading it.
Sir,
can I read? This is Rahul, sir.
Could I read it?
Yeah, Prandeep, please. Gopal Baba Valankar.
Thank you so much. It has been written, Gopal Baba Valankar, a devout spiritual leader of the Mahar community from Konkan, took it upon himself to wash away the stain of untouchability from the lives of the ostracized. He traveled across Maharashtra, spreading his message. He established Anaraya Dosh Pariharak Samaj, societies for the eradication of non-Aryan defects in various places. Through the journals Sudarak and Deenbandhu, he published numerous articles and essays, which we shall publish in due time. Not only that, on Vijayadashami in the year 1888, Shakha 1810, Samvatsar, Dharinam, he published a 50-page petition in the form of questions challenging caste discrimination. He openly invited debate on the subject and sent this challenge to the then Sankaracharya and other religious orthodoxy. Thus, this is a brief yet significant account of a movement up to the beginning of the 20th century.
So thank you so much, Prandeep. Beautifully read. You see, we need to understand that this is Babasaheb Ambedkar is talking about, in the Marathi world. But, such is the case in Bengal, such is the case in South India, everywhere our people are fighting. And, our people are, resisting the Brahminical Hinduism. Our people are resisting the slavery imposed on them. And Gopal Baba Valankar, Babasaheb Ambedkar liked him so much. And why Babasaheb Ambedkar is making this point? Because the non-untouchables were making the claims on the behalf of the untouchables that they represent him. So Babasaheb Ambedkar is saying that we are autonomous. This is very important. The autonomy in the movement is very important. That, we are capable of fighting for our own rights. Let no one says that we cannot. Now just imagine the case. That was a time when, Maharashtra, Bengal. But now imagine that if the scheduled caste, so-called scheduled caste, unite in some way, in a cultural way, or in a political way, or in a social way, imagine that, that is the only community which can become a majority. We are 20% of the India's population. Now imagine that the 20% of the India's population is organized, or, there is a semblance of the organization. Or forget 20%, you imagine that, there are 8-9 communities among the scheduled caste who are numerically larger. Like, for example, the Chamars from the North India, they are numerically so much that even if they unite, they mobilize, they can bring the entire political change in the country. To give you an example, Jagjivan Ram was a long time leader of the Congress party. And at one point of time, he came very close to becoming the Prime Minister of India. Though he opposed to Babasaheb Ambedkar for a long time, but ultimately we know that he had loved Babasaheb Ambedkar so much as well. So you see, we have to understand these dynamics. How, if we can mobilize the people across the country, what it can do. And there is a tradition of fighting which Babasaheb Ambedkar is underscoring here. That it's not that we are just fighting. Our forefathers have been fighting. They have been contributing. They have been sacrificing their bodies. They have been sacrificing their lives. You see, so this is how you move the people, create a very positive sort of an emotion among the people that, they are not alone. This fighting is not the individual fight. It is the communal fight. We have to fight together. We have to come together. And I think, hopefully there will be somebody will write a good biography of Gopal Baba Valankar one day. He was a great man. And you see, there are a lot of references to Satya Shodak in Mukanayak, and in the Mangaon conference. And Ramji Ambedkar, Babasaheb's father, Ramji Sakpal, was very close to Jyotiba Phule. Dadaji Kedusकर was a friend of Jyotiba Phule. So there is a kind of a link. But Jyotiba Phule could come into existence, his movement could come into existence because of Bhima Koregaon. If Bhima Koregaon has not taken place, the Brahmin power would not have challenged. And in fact, at some place, Jyotiba's father tells him that, if there was not Koregaon battle, the Brahmins would have played polo with your head. If the Peshwa would have been there, or the Brahminical power would have been there. So you see, you understand this whole trend of our people fighting. It reached the highest point in the life and mission of Babasaheb Ambedkar. So you see, that is the greatness of a man. He's acknowledging the people who have gone before him, and he's likewise we have to do it. We have to acknowledge our people. So there is a lesson in public speaking here that we cannot be. Babasaheb Ambedkar was a great man. He was the highest educated person in the community throughout India, and he's so inspiring to other persons. But he is marking the other people as well. That is the greatness of Babasaheb Ambedkar. So let's go ahead. this is 1927. See, there are many speeches, and I have chosen a few speeches just to bring. Hundreds of speeches are there. So I have brought together only a few speeches to make some points of how to mobilize the masses, how to talk about the community, how to give them the clear picture, and that's what we can do today. There is so much to communicate to the people, but for that, before we do that, we have to take great efforts to train ourselves. So who is going to read it? A very, very vital point, huh? Very vital points. Who will read it in English?
Sir, can I read it?
Yeah, Rahul.
Rahul here.
Rahul, go ahead.
Okay. Let us see what the accusations are. One allegation is that we hate the upper castes, but we have no reason to hate anyone. In fact, many of our close friends are from the upper castes. Since we are compelled to push our agenda and confront obstacles in our work, we sometimes unintentionally hurt the feelings of people who get in our way. But from that, it does not follow that we hate the upper castes or anyone else. Another allegation.
Rahul,
Sorry.
1 minute. There is always an allegation that this community is very angry. They hate Brahmins. Why the heck we will hate anybody? We are just fighting for our rights. Babasaheb Ambedkar is fighting for his rights. He is fighting for the dignity, which is a human dignity. He's endowed with that right to live with dignity. Nobody can trample upon us. Nobody can even say that they are inferior or whatever. So you see, this is what is the propaganda. That these people are hateful people. They hate upper caste. They do this. They do that. They all the negativities. We see that in the media, but it's not the case. What Babasaheb Ambedkar is saying that we are simply fighting for our rights. We don't hate anybody. We have no reason to hate anybody. If the greatest fight for the liberation based on the love and the compassion there was or there is in the history of the world, that is the battle of Babasaheb Ambedkar, led by Babasaheb Ambedkar. He could mobilize the masses. He could have gotten anything. But he is somebody who is very patient. He is somebody who is full of love and compassion, and that's how he operates. That is what the movement is all about. But it's branded that they are hateful people, they are angry people. I get it all the time. So you see, you go ahead, read the next paragraph.
Another allegation is that we do not limit our writings in our journal only to the issue of untouchability, but also discuss other community matters. To that, our counter question is, which newspaper limits itself only to one section's issues? Just like others, we too have our own views, and expressing them is not only our right, but also our duty.
So this is a speech, and Babasaheb Ambedkar is making a point that other people are saying that you write about other issues, you talk about other issues, and you see this is how meticulously Babasaheb Ambedkar explains in his speech as to why we should talk about other issues, why we should not be just limited to fighting the cause of untouchability, because the cause of untouchability is not standing alone. It's linked with political issues, linked with the cultural issues, it linked with the economic issues, it linked with the national issues, it linked with the international issues. That is the clarity that Babasaheb Ambedkar is bringing forth here. And I think this speech is very remarkable in that way. So let's read the next part. Yes, go ahead, Rahul, you can go ahead.
Besides, it must be remembered that the issue of untouchability cannot be separated from other social issues. Casteism, religious beliefs, scriptural authority, political rights, political movements, many such topics are directly or indirectly related to the question of untouchability. Untouchability is the most dreadful outcome of the deeply ingrained poison at the core of Hinduism and Hindu society. Though its effect is horrific, its cause lies in specific mental attitudes, and this cannot be ignored. Therefore, while thinking about untouchability, it becomes necessary to think about all these associated matters.
So you see how, clear articulation. As, Sagdar says, we have seen, he has observed this about Babasaheb, very clear in his thinking. And he expressed in very clear terms. You see, this is so clearly explained as to why, we should not be just limited to the issue of untouchability, because the issue of untouchability is connected with Jati Bhed, religious ideas, religious beliefs, Grantha Pramanya, the scriptures like Manusmriti, Ramayana, Mahabharata, and all, they talk about caste system. Then, the political rights, the political movements, it is related to everything even today. We cannot talk about our issues in isolation. It's connected with all other issues in this country. And what Babasaheb Ambedkar is saying that it's the deeply ingrained poison. He's saying that it's the Hindu Samaj, Hindu Dharma is rotten at the core. In Marathi, he says that it's rotten at the core. That means there is if there is any core of Hinduism, it's totally rotten. And he talks about the cause is the specific mental attitude, and we cannot ignore the mental attitude. So we have to talk when we talk about untouchability or we talk about any problem, we have to see how it correlates with all other problems. So this is the last section from the speech.
Criticizing or personally attacking Dr. Ambedkar or trying to belittle him or running a smear campaign against Bahishkrut Bharat will not succeed in defeating our cause or our movement. This should be clearly understood by our critics. Attempts to divide the Bahishkrut community and weaken our movement will not succeed in the future. We will not give anyone the chance to create factions within the efforts to eradicate untouchability. This is why some upper caste intellectual critics harbor such resentment towards us. Yes, we are fully aware of this.
You see, this is a very beautiful speech. You see, if you belittle me, if you attack me, if you run a smear campaign against me, it is not or my newspaper Vaishnav Bharat. You will not be successful in defeating our cause or our movement. You should understand this. We are committed with life. We are even ready to die for the cause. So nothing can deter us. You criticize us, you do whatever campaigning against us. We are not going to move. We are steadfast. We are going to go ahead. You see, if a speaker is speaking like this, how much motivated will be people who are listening to it? And see, this is Babasaheb Ambedkar has coined this word Bahishkrut. So there are Brahmins, Brahmanettar, and Bahishkrut. We have seen the three categorization of the Indian community that Babasaheb Ambedkar has made in his very public speech. And here he's saying that if you try to divide the Bahishkrut community and weaken our movement, you will not succeed in the future. We will not give anyone the chance to create factions within the efforts to eradicate untouchability. That's why some upper caste intellectual critics harbor such resentment towards us. Yes, hoy, हे आम्ही जाणून आहोत. Yes, we fully aware of your gimmicks. We are fully aware of what your strategies are. So you see, this is a very interesting speech that that informs us as to how we are going to move forward. So let's look at a very interesting speech. This is a speech that is in English, and it was delivered on 20th July 1942 in front of the chairman and the members of the reception committee of All India Depressed Classes Conference. This is a speech, very short one. It will not take us more than 10 minutes to read this speech. But you see the oratory. You see how Babasaheb Ambedkar, goes into the very, very interesting speech. You see here now. So who is going to read this very path-breaking speech?
Sir, I can continue, but
Sir,
I would want
if I may.
others to read as well.
Who wants to read?
Sir, can I?
Sunny, please go ahead. And read it
Yes, sir.
like you are making a speech. Okay, Sunny?
Sure. I'll try my best.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for the address you have presented to me. I wonder if such an address was at all necessary. Toasts and addresses have a peculiar history behind them. At any rate, toast has. The ceremony of drinking to the health of the king, as we see it in the English society, came in after the Civil War and during the period of Restoration. It was originally a matter of compulsion and was forced on the English regiments, which had rebelled against the king. It was to enforce loyalty to the new king. that they were forced to drink for the health of the king. Drinking for the health of the king is now universal, and nobody cares to inquire about its origin. Its origin, as I told you, lay in the desire to compel doubtful loyalty to proclaim itself. Your loyalty, I know, is not doubtful, and I should have thought it was unnecessary to vouchsafe it by means of this address. Now that you have insisted on my accepting it, I welcome it as a token of the sentiments of love and affection which you bear towards me. It is a token of your appreciation of what I have done for the untouchable. This address proves that you uphold the stand I have taken in Indian politics in the name of the untouchables of India. Our ideal is to be recognized as honorable partners with the Hindus and the Muslims in running the government of this country, partners on honorable and equal terms. I can assure you that I will strive to achieve the ideal we have fixed before us.
Yeah, you see, this is this is the characteristic way of Babasaheb Ambedkar. He never talks about himself. He's saying that our people have raised toast to his health, to his well-being, and he has given them the address for the success he has achieved. But Babasaheb Ambedkar is saying that he's not he's not worried about ceremonies. He's not worried about whether you put him on the pedestal. He's not worried about whether you glorify, you sing songs about him. He's never cared about that. His only goal is to see the upliftment of his people and to benefit the country. Two goals in his mind all the time. So he's not for the ceremonies and all. So that's what he makes clear. Preparing the ground for what is to come. So he makes a point that he says that our ideal is to become the honorable partners with the Hindus and the Muslims. So by this time, Babasaheb Ambedkar has taken complete separation from the Hindus because he has seen the attitude of Gandhi, Hindus, and the Hindu fundamentalists. They only lip service, no action. Gandhi said, "Give me 5 years." He did nothing in the 5 years. So you see, you can begin to see the how Babasaheb Ambedkar educate, how he talks. And he says that, he makes his goal very clear. He says that we want to be honorable partners in the government. We don't want to be inferior to anybody. We want to have a share in the power. So read ahead, Sunny, go and read ahead.
Yes. You have less need of an assurance from me that I will fight for the ideal. I stand in greater need of an assurance from you. You have assured me of your love and affection. It was quite unnecessary. I want an assurance of another kind. It is an assurance of strength, unity, and determination to stand for our rights, fight for our rights, and never to return until we win our rights. You promise to do your part. I promise to do mine.
Wait a minute, Sunny. You see, he said that, he is committing. This is ethos. He's saying that, I stand in greater need of an assurance from you. He said that I'm committed. I stand in a greater need of an assurance from you. You see, this is what we have to do today. We have a leader who was a great man. He sacrificed everything for the community. And what he needs, we just have to work on his principles. We have to just follow in his footsteps. We have to be able to commit ourselves just like he was. That is the assurance that we can give to a leader. If we are, Ambedkarites or whatever, the greatest thing that we can do is to, give assurance to him that we will abide by, your vision. We will work. We'll walk on your footsteps. And he says that, you have assured me of your love and affection. It was quite unnecessary because I know that you love me. I want an assurance of another kind. It's an assurance of strength, unity, and determination to stand for our rights. See how, if you are, imagine that you are there and you are listening to these words from Babasaheb Ambedkar. He wants an assurance of strength from us, of unity, of determination to stand for your own rights, our rights, fight for our rights and never to return until we win our rights. You promise to do your part, I promise to do mine. You see, this, you cannot you cannot appreciate enough if you do not put your heart and mind into understanding these speeches. You see, you promise to do your part, I promise to do mine. You see, this is the rhetoric at the highest. Okay, Sunny, go on.
With justice on our side, I don't see how we can lose our battle. The battle to me is a matter full of joy. The battle, the battle is in the fullest sense spiritual. There's nothing material or sordid in it. For ours is a battle not for wealth or for power.
This
It
has
is a
to be written.
battle.
This has to be written, in our houses. What we are fighting for? Are we fighting for the material gain? Yes, we'll gain material, but that is not what we are fighting for. What is this battle? This is not a battle, sad battle. It's a matter of joy. Babasaheb Ambedkar at one point of the struggle is life. If we quit fighting, we are dead already. Activity is a sign of the growth. If we do not, take part in the public life, we are dead already. See, this is a very beautifully, crafted words. The way he might have delivered it. For ours is a battle, not for wealth or for power. It is a battle for freedom. So, the mere freedom is not enough. It is a battle for the reclamation of human personality, which has been suppressed and mutilated by the Hindu social system. Okay, read it.
It is a battle for freedom. It is a battle for the reclamation of human personality, which has been suppressed and mutilated by the Hindu social system and will continue to be suppressed and mutilated if in the political struggle the Hindus win and we lose. My final words of advice to you is educate, agitate, and organize. Have faith in yourselves and never lose hope. I shall always be with you, as I know you will be with me.
Now, this single paragraph, with justice and to the never lose hope. We can talk about this paragraph for hours and hours. Every single word, every single term of thinking here is so useful. See what he's saying. Actually, he's giving a complete recipe for the revolution. He's saying educate, and we have seen the meaning of education. There are many very meanings of the education that we can draw. Agitate, organize, and what he's saying, have faith in yourself. This is very important, to have faith in ourselves. If you ask me personally, I have tremendous faith in our people, because they are agitating all of the places. They are reading, they are studying, they are struggling. You imagine, if they unite, they will be one of the greatest force of the good in the world, not only in our country, world, because they got the ideal. They know, they are the most peace-loving people, but also the fighters. Very astute, people, very talented ones. And if we can have a faith in ourselves, and most important, never lose hope. Come what may, let anybody come to power. We never lose our hope. Hope is the single most important factor we should never leave. There is no need to become hopeless. This is what Babasaheb Ambedkar is saying. The man who has struggled, seen the worst challenges in his life, he's saying, never lose hope. Always go ahead. Have faith in yourself. Organize, agitate, educate. That's it. If we forget everything of this speech, or even I would say Babasaheb's writings, only if we remember this: educate, agitate, organize, have faith in yourself, and never lose hope, we are done. We are done. So he's saying, lastly, I shall always be with you as I know you will be with me. This is called, chiasm, technical word for this, the mirror image of the previous sentence. I shall always be with you as I know you will be with me. This is like, a very important tool in rhetoric, to use the mirror of a sentence. This: ask not what your country has done to you, ask what you have done for your country. We have seen this pattern twice. It's a very high, Aristotle calls it inthymeme. And you can Google search it, inthymeme, and you will know how you mirror the sentence. So you see the beautiful short speech. Now we are going to go to the last speech. Let me see. Yes, it's a very beautiful speech. There are many beautiful speeches. Our friend Vikas our friend Vishal is going to talk about annihilation of caste. He's a PhD student in rhetoric, and he's going to talk about that. And there are some very important speeches that we have left. I just wanted to give you some flavor of Babasaheb's, how he mobilized the people, how he moved the minds of the people, how he asked, urged them to act for their rights. So, let's read this last speech. This was delivered for today. This was delivered on 24th September 1944 in Madras, and it was delivered for the Madras Rational Society. Topic was rationalism in India. So, I thought that this topic will be interesting for some of you. So let's read this speech. Who is going to read this speech? Another 15 minutes to go. But as you know that there is a lot to learn and a lot to understand. So who is going to start?
So can I?
So this is Rahul. I have already read. I can.
So
But
let Rikita
up
go.
to you.
Rikita, please read.
Sure,
Because
sure.
Rahul has already gone ahead. So Rikita, please.
Yes, yes.
And Rikita, read in a style of a speech, okay?
Okay. The subject of rationalism in India is undoubtedly of great interest to Indians and one of profound influence. So, as the Hindu society and a social life are concerned, the subject has been completely neglected. There has been very many false notions about India's history, which has been given currency to by persons who have very great authority in the field of literature. It has been said by very profound writers of Indian history that India has had no politics at all, and that
You there? Okay, somebody can take over. Rahul, please take over.
And that all ancient
Sorry,
Indian writers concerned themselves with writing about philosophy, religion, metaphysics, and that they have not bothered about politics. It has been alleged that the ancient Indian people were not historical or a political race. That has been the opinion to this day. It has also been stated that India has no history at all, and that though Indian life and society have been moving in a stereotyped steel frame, which once fixed has remained as it has been, and consequently, the historian of India has nothing else to do but to describe what the steel frame is. It has also been said that countries can be said to have some special and political revolutions undertaken with the object of changing the framework of political revolution before.
So this is what Babasaheb Ambedkar is preparing ground for the speech, rationalism in India. And he's talking about the Indian history. Of course, when you are talking about the rationalism in Indian context, you have to talk about the history. And that is what Babasaheb Ambedkar is setting the ground. So there is a lesson for us here, whenever we talk, we have to make the background clear before we come to the main idea. So let's read further. Anybody?
so can I
Anybody like to
continue?
read? Yes, Rikita, please.
I have been only a politician, and I can lay no claim for any profundity either as a student of literature or of history or philosophy. But I have
Wait a minute.
elevated.
Rikita, 1 minute. You see, this is what Babasaheb Ambedkar is. He is very humble. He takes his position very cautiously, and he takes his position very, very, on a very ground level. Of course, we know that Babasaheb Ambedkar studied literature like no other person, including Marathi literature and Hindi literature and Pali literature and the English literature. He has read widely. He was, of course, a student of history. He has studied history in Columbia University, some of the classes. He was a very deep student of philosophy that we know. But you see how, he underplays himself. That's a rhetorical tool. You don't, bring your ego. You don't display your ego. You just become humble. And from that ground, now you see what he does. Okay, go on, Nikita.
But I have elevated some part of my time to the study of an ancient history. And I have come to the opposite conclusion to this propounded by many scholars. My study have shown to me that the ancient Indians have political race that history has known. No country in the ancient past has had such revolution affecting the society of morals, government and philosophy, which can be proved to have privilege of the ancient Indians. India probably was one of the countries which preached rationalism, such as the kind of which the world before nowhere has seen. India has been a land of revolution in comparison to which the French Revolution could be only bagatelle and nothing more.
So see, this is the student of Indian history. He has written so much. He has read so much. He has written also on the ancient Indian history. And now he's saying that contrary. My conclusions are contrary. He was of course a lawyer, so he talks. He builds his case. He come to the conclusion, and here he's concluding. He's saying that I have reached to a different conclusion that India was a land of the revolutions, and there the in comparison with the French Revolution will be a bagatelle. It will be nothing compared to the revolutions that have taken place in India. He's saying about French Revolution, the revolution that has paved a way for democracy, one of the revolutions that have paved the way for the democracy in the world, in the modern times. Okay, he's saying that the India has seen the more profound revolutions. So this is the conclusion that Babasaheb Ambedkar comes in this speech in Madras. So now who is going to read?
I will read, sir.
Okay, Prandeep.
Okay. Differences between Brahmanism and Buddhism. Students of Indian history, in my judgment, must bear one fact in mind, and it is the one which has been completely neglected by the historians who have written about history of India. It is a fundamental fact, and unless that was borne in mind, no one can understand the history of India. The fundamental fact is that there has, in ancient India, a great struggle between Buddhism and Brahmanism. The history of India is nothing if it is not one of great struggle. It is not even a struggle, as has been repeated by professors of philosophy, but a quarrel over some creed. It was not only a revolution in doctrine, but a revolution in the political and social philosophy.
Okay,
The quarrel between Buddhism, yes, sir.
Go on, Prandeep. Go on.
The quarrel between Buddhism and Brahmanism was on this one issue, and that was what is truth? What can be accepted as truth? That is the bedrock of the question with which rationalism deals.
So you see, Babasaheb Ambedkar is talking in front of the rationalists, and he's talking, about India, and he's talking about, the revolutions in India, and he's saying that India is a land of revolution. And now you see how he is building his case, case, and he's saying that the Indian history is nothing but the great struggle between Buddhism and Brahmanism, and he's talking about that, but he's talking about he's going very deeply. He's saying that it is not just a revolution in doctrine, but a revolution in political and social philosophy as well. So that's the great point he's making. And he's saying, what was the quarrel between the Buddhists and the Brahmins? And it was about rationality. You see, all the Brahminical scriptures have no scope for rationality. The ultimate ground to believe anything is Veda Pramanya. And if you see the Indian history, the Buddhists have developed logic, metaphysics to the great extent because they never believed in the validity of the books. They believed in the experiments. They believe in the truth, which can be understood by all, Sarvajanik Satya. So you see, what was the bone of contention, and what is the bone of contention even today between the Buddhists and the Brahmins? Is this what is the truth, and what can be accepted as truth, right? So this is the basic question in rationalism. What is the truth and what can be accepted as truth? Let's read further. So anyone? Okay, Randeep, go ahead.
Yes, the answer that Buddha gave as to what was truth was fundamentally different from the one which the Brahmins gave Buddha, said that truth was something to which any one of the Dasa Indriyas can bear witness. The Brahminic doctrine of truth was that it was something which was declared by Vedas, laughter. They should make no mistake, but that was the most important doctrine of Brahmanism. The Buddhists were revolutionaries and Brahmins were counter-revolutionaries. That was the difference between Buddhism and Brahmanism. Why the Brahmins from the ancient times insisted that the Vedas must be accepted as the final authority of all social and religious doctrines. It is something difficult to say, but I am surprised that so clever a people like the ancient Brahmin should have insisted upon fastening such tremendous sanctity and authority on such books, which consisted nothing else but tomfoolery.
You see, this is the oratory at its best. So you see, he's making it clear what is rationalism is all about, what is the truth, how we accept something as the truth. There is of course a long history of, and the debate is very great. And I recommend some of the young minds to enter into this domain of reading, the Buddhist philosophies, how the Buddhists have developed this art of, understanding the truth. And it's not abstract. It has to be validated by our experiences, by our senses. And the truth is not extrasensory. If something is extrasensory, we can never know what is it, right? So that is what is the world, whatever out there, is always mediated by our senses. And the truth has to have the validity of the directly knowing pratyaksha praman. The Buddhists advocated pratyaksha praman. They advocated the praman of the inferences, logic. So we can, like the science, we can have the hypotheses and then some premises, then test through the experiments whether they are valid. If the experiments are in favor, okay, we give the validity to that. So the experimental methods, of course, the logic, and of course the direct witness or directly knowing something. So there is this whole literature that is there, which is there for us to study. But the Brahmins, if you ask them about anything, they will always say that the final authority is the Vedas. Even today, I don't know what is there. Babasaheb is saying that it's nothing but the tomfoolery. And there is nothing in the Vedas. These are all Vedic mathematics, all Vedic science, and all this is all fooling the people. There's nothing inside there. So, and that can be studied by anybody. It's not just the claim I'm making. Babasaheb Ambedkar has had read the Vedas thoroughly. Nobody might have not even read the Vedas. But Babasaheb Ambedkar was somebody who has studied, and found there is nothing there. It's a tomfoolery. And why do you need the pramanya of the Vedas? There is a Vedas, you can validate something by the experiments. You can validate what is there in front of your eyes. How can you validate saying that, these Vedas say that people are born highs and lows? Nowhere in the world. The Darwin says, the evolution theory says differently. It says that there is a unity of the human race. Human species are one. So you see, these are all the tomfoolery. And this Babasaheb is saying that, this is the way the Brahmins are fooling the people. There's no rationalism in Brahminism. There's no rationalism in Hinduism to extend the argument further. So read it further.
Forgery in the Vedas. The certain portions were a forgery which were introduced at later stage. They did it because they wanted some kind of sacred sanction for their theory. That to his mind was the only reason why the Brahmins had insisted upon so unrationalistic an approach to social theories. The struggle between Buddhism and Brahmanism was for supremacy. When Buddhism evaporated, they lost tremendously. Buddha was the first person to preach the message of liberty, equality, fraternity in the history of the world. They had lost because the revolution was so overwhelmed by the counter-revolution. They had also lost the spirit of rationalism, and that was the reason why the whole of the Hindu society was in grossest superstition, idolatry, and all sorts of evil practices, which were practiced in the name of the religion. Buddha's rationalistic approach to truth had been lost. Today, they were in the grip of counter-revolutionaries. The gospel of the counter-revolutionaries is the Bhagavad Gita and Manusmriti. The tragedy of today is that the non-rationalistic ideology has even entered politics. Political leaders are on trial in every country.
So you see, this is remarkable, right? So whatever we see in India today in terms of the superstition, idolatry, and so much of a fundamentalism, because there is no rationality. People believe in the books, something they have not seen or read. If you have a survey in this India, how many people have even seen the Vedas? I'm sure 90% people have not seen the Vedas. But the Brahmins have put in their mind that there is something sacred, something they're great. All truths are there. And that is what Babasaheb is countering. He's saying that so long as this mindset remains, And like Bhagavad Gita and also Manusmriti, they are the gospel of the counter revolutionaries. In some form or another, they encourages the rationality. They don't let people think. And the whole purpose of Babasaheb's movement is to make us think, make people think more than what they are capable of thinking. That is what is the meaning of the word education. To think more than what we are capable, to venture into the unknown territories, to know it. So, that is the tragedy of a country. That time 44 Babasaheb Ambedkar said, it even continues today. So let's read the last part of it.
But what is the solution in India? Mr. Gandhi is never on trial. Laughter. Has he been on trial? No. If he says something, everybody must accept it as though it is from the Vedas. If he says the opposite, we have got to accept it. 2 years ago, Mr. Gandhi said Pakistan was a sin. Congressmen said it was a sin. I have also written a book on Pakistan, and I was called as one whose intelligence has been mortgaged to the Muslim League and prostituted and all that. Today, Mr. Gandhi says Pakistan is not a sin. This is only one illustration of irrationalism, which has not entered only our social and intellectual, but also political thoughts. I am sure unless we do something very quickly, we may bring greater disaster to this country.
So how prophetic Babasaheb Ambedkar was, if irrationality enters into different domains, in the political life, in the social life of a country, what happens? Isn't it? So see, we are in 2025, like almost 75 years that Babasaheb Ambedkar has delivered this speech, and he has cautioned us time and again. And where are we today? We landed up in a bigger disaster than we can ever imagine in this country. So you see, these are the speeches. I just wanted to, share with you all the very much. These are, to bring out how Babasaheb Ambedkar mobilized the masses, how the way he talked, the way he communicated, the way he mobilized, the way he moved the people, the way he has, brought people together. And, that is the style. You see here, the two places there is a word laughter. So, he's talking about a very difficult subject. He's very highly critical. He's critical of the Brahmins, he's critical of the Vedas, he's critical of the Gandhi, he's critical of irrationality, he's critical of the superstition. But he delivers his speech in such a way that it makes people laugh. Isn't it? That's an art he has developed to the highest point. He can argue, he can talk in such a way that he can lighten even the situation, even when he's delivering a very complex and the difficult points. So I think we have come to the end of the class today, but let's have 10 minutes discussion on anything that you have noted or anything you have to comment upon. So anyone has any comment to offer or any remarks or any insights that they would like to, offer to the class?
Sir Rahul here. Thank you so much for today's class. I have one question, sir, and please help me out in that. If I have to understand more about Bhima Koregaon and the related incidents, which book should I refer to, or which author, if you could suggest, that would be grateful. Thank you.
See, I think you have to go now in the archives because there are archives available, and maybe there is enough now literature on Bhima Koregaon, the list of the people. Even in the volume, I think volume 17, they have the document related to Bhima Koregaon. So maybe that's a good beginning point. But I think more research needs to be done in that area. But it's for
Okay.
sure that the battle was a turning point in the history of not only India, but also in the liberation of the Mahars. Because after that, it is said that because 90% of those Mahars who worked in the army, the literacy was highest, 100%, and even women could read. And the British has made an arrangement for them to read in English. So Babasaheb Ambedkar was a headmaster in the Normal school. So that's all because of the result of the Bhima Koregaon.
Oh, okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I'll check out. Thank you.
Mangesh bhai, Pankaj here.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
Pankaj.
just I just want to see at the age of 25 we read that book Caste in India, its origin, mechanism and propagation,
Yeah.
and then at the age of 29 Babasaheb delivered this speech in Malegaon,
No.
and he brought the scientific facts of the caste system. So that time people are not able to understand what they are experiencing that time. They were untouchable, they were unseeable, they were unapproachable. And there comes in Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, who studies the thing and put it before the masses. It was 500 mob up
5,000.
around 500, correct?
5,000.
And in the presence of greatest 5,000, sorry, 5,000. And in the presence of greatest leader that time, the king, Shahu Maharaj itself was present there. And he is breaking it in scientifically in three classes: the purest form, the superior, and the inferior. See how beautifully this he was persuasive as well as influential speak maker. So what I understood from this class, right from the beginning, with the clear thinking and with delivering a clear object, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar educated, organized, and influenced people from beginning itself.
Yes, yes, yes.
Such a great personality.
Yes. That's true. That's true. That's true.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Pankaj. Good comment.
Sir, as always, another very enlightening and insightful session. Thank you so much for that. And it reflects so much research from your end. And one thing that I request you to throw some light on it is the slogans we are having: educate, uh, agitate, and organize. These things we have to run through our veins. Then what's the mechanism and what the roadmap to
You
start
see,
with?
yeah. You see, this is if you ask me, as I told you, that I am not hopeless in terms of the movement or the status of the movement. These are the things that happens in all over the world. The problem is so grave. The problem of untouchability is so grave. Even today, we see that we face barriers everywhere, and we are fighting against the society which thinks that people are inferior, people are whatever. So it's not an easy fight. If it was an easy battle, then there was no point in fighting. So I think the slogans are there, these ideas are there, and so long as these ideas are there in the community, we don't have to be afraid of anything whatsoever, isn't it? And there are now the literature and the books. One of the our continuing practices should be to engage with the ideas, to engage with the world, to engage with what is happening in the world and how we can do something about it. I was reading something about Babasaheb Ambedkar. It says that if there is a society problem in the society, the wise people cannot stand silently. They engage with that. So whenever there is a samajik dukkha, we have to engage, and that engagement is itself a great step forward. And that's what I believe that our people are doing at this moment. I think there is a lot of churning taking place among the communities. And we can also say that the social media is playing its role. It's bringing a lot of ideas together, people together. You look at the way Babasaheb Ambedkar has risen. No political party can neglect him. No community can neglect him. Even if you are a Muslim or a Christian or a Sikh, whoever you are, if you are looking at the symbol of justice, that's Babasaheb Ambedkar for every community. Even for the Brahmins, one day they will claim that he has tried to give us a justice. That's what I'm telling you. So you see, this is a very interesting stage in the history of a country. A lot of issues, a lot of problems. But as Baba Ambedkar says, this is a land of revolutions. There are hundreds and thousands of the groups throughout India who are thinking, who are trying to do something about it. So let's not. I would say keep this word liberty. Educate, agitate, organize. Have a faith in yourself, and never lose hope. I think that's these five things tie up together. We just don't have to focus on educate, agitate, organize. There are other things also. Believe in your own strength, believe in the strength of the community, mobilize it in whatever way we can. We have seen in the first speech how Babasaheb Ambedkar is giving the example of the people who have gone in the villages and mobilized the people, how people have sacrificed with their lives. So I think these are all there, and so long as these things exist, we don't have to worry.
Sir, I want to comment something.
Proud.
Yeah. So what is till date, whatever I have read, I have attended multiple of your sessions in multiple groups. I have realized one thing, that there is this continuous movement that has been going on for thousands of years. Maybe it started with Buddha, and then there are so many characters in this movement who have sacrificed, like rightly you said, you gave an example of Mayo also. And then there are so many people, and still there are people who are knowingly or unknowingly, I would say, they are helping this cause. So I think there is no need to lose hope. The
There
only
is no
thing is
need.
we have to, so we have to just find the like-minded people who are, and then probably, we can express ourselves and confirm our beliefs. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's an ebb and flow, it's a cyclics. So we don't have to lose hope. So, okay. If there is anything that anybody has to share, otherwise we will, end this session today, and we'll meet next week. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you
Dr.
so much for joining, everybody, and good reading today and a good class. So thank you so much. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
See you next class.
Thank you, Sajani.
Thank you. Thank you.